mountain. I am a tall tree. Oh, I am a swift wind sweeping the country.
I am the river down in the valley. Oh, I am a vision, and I can see clearly.
If anybody asks you who I am, just stand up tall, look them in the face and say, I'm that star up in the sky, I'm that mountain peak up high. Hey, I made it, I'm the world's greatest, and I'm that little bit of hope. When my back's against the ropes, I can feel it, oh, I'm the world's greatest.
I am a giant, I am an eagle, I am a lion down in the jungle.
I am a marching band, I am the people, oh, I am a helping hand, and I am a hero.
If anybody asks you who I am, just stand up tall, look them in the face and say, I'm that star up in the sky, I'm that mountain peak up high. We have made it, ooh, I'm the world's greatest, and I'm that little bit of hope. When my back's against the ropes, I can feel it, oh, I'm the world's greatest. In the rain of life, I'll rain love, I will reign in the world, the Lord is the King. I'll shine the light, and the blaze of success will let in me. I'm the world's greatest. I can feel it. Oh, the world's greatest. I'm the world's greatest. When my back's against the wall, I can feel it, I can feel it. I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest. Can you feel it? I'm the greatest. Can you feel it? You're the greatest, you're the greatest. Can you feel it? You're the greatest.
Thank you, Voices of Praise. Thank you, Richard. You're the greatest. We can feel it. Today's lesson, Fruits of the Kingdom, will be given by the Reverend Barbara Schreiner Trudell. You are the greatest. Wow. The fruits of the kingdom. Well, we've all heard Reverend Evan talk about the 12 powers, and every month are represented through color and name. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about these powers, but especially about the idea of faith, because that's the rock that we want to build upon. If we don't have that, it's hard to build any of the rest. So the powers are faith, strength, wisdom, love, power, imagination, understanding, will, order, zeal, elimination, and life. Did you write that down? I did, it's okay. I wanted to make sure I got them all. I didn't want to miss any. The key is that you're responsible for your life, and as you are awakening, as you begin to recognize the I am presence, the Christ consciousness, and you begin to focus your attention there, you begin to awaken from that sleepy haze that is the ego-driven life into the spiritual life, which is the one that is calling us at all times. It is the life that we are destined to live, and without it, we probably would destroy ourselves, body, mind, and soul. So we journey along, and as we're journeying, we begin by looking within and finding that strength and power within us. We start to see that the Christ consciousness is the basis that we need to build our life upon. And as we have faith in that, we don't doubt, we don't fear, we don't hesitate, we don't resist. We sit back and know. And we have a knowing of what's coming next, even though we can't necessarily see it. Faith is that idea that there's something bigger and greater, and it's a belief in God, it's a belief in possibility. And it's where we must begin. It's the place of beginning. In the metaphysical spiritual awakening, we have to transform into the divine. Not that it wasn't there, but we have to awaken to it. I think sometimes we're bombarded by a whole bunch of other things. We're bombarded by the news, we're bombarded by opinions, and what we want to do is separate from that, and I like the reading in the Daily Inspiration today about finding that quiet place. And we need to do that. We need to find that quiet place so that we can remember who we really are, so that we can let go of the stories, the lies, the opinions, the past, and instead in this now moment embrace a bigger idea of what is possible. And we learn that through the teachings of Jesus, don't we? Jesus had faith. And it is that faith that we draw upon when we take the time to go within. One of the things in the 12 Powers of Man by Charles Fillmore, he talked about the dynamic energy released through prayer and meditation, and said that if it is not controlled and raised to the spiritual plane, may prove a source of body destruction or even soul destruction. And the aspect of us who can destroy both of this is our ego self. So this is what we're separating from. We're moving from the ego-driven life back into that spirit-driven life. We're taking time in prayer and meditation to know who we really are, to remember who we are, and then to live from that place, and to do it with a sense of possibility. And so we draw on the faculties that are always present. We begin to spiritualize them. We begin to lift them up, like strength, wisdom. We want to begin to see ourselves for who we really are and to celebrate that. Each one of us is responsible for our own life. Darn, eh? I used to like the idea of blaming everybody else. Oh, it's your fault I'm unhappy. Oh, you made me mad. But the truth is, it's up to us. It's up to us to find ourselves, to find our passion, to find our journey. And as we do this, as we take the time every day, we begin to spiritualize and we awaken. And that awakening can take a little bit of time, or it can happen quite quickly, but then there's still the journey. In the Buddhist faith, it's, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. So the journey is ongoing. We're going to continue it forever. But we begin in the here and now, accepting what is. I remember years ago having a spiritual epiphany moment, a moment of awakening that transformed everything in my life. I went from being sound asleep to all of a sudden having an understanding of something possible, something bigger, something different. I had an understanding of what I would call God, and what I knew it as was love. Not something to be feared, not something to be controlled, but rather this energy of all possibility. And it was such a freeing moment, and of course it was a fleeting one, because we return, don't we? We have a moment of awakening where we go, wow, God is all there is, and it's right in the essence of our body. We feel it in our DNA, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then we get back to work, chop wood, carry water. And then we forget. And so it's important that we take time day by day in prayer and meditation, but also in gatherings like this, where we come together to be reminded of something bigger and something better and something different, something possible. You see, as we awaken to who we really are, there is nothing we cannot do. We become the voice of possibility, I suppose. We become something bigger and greater. So we open up our minds to take responsibility for our lives and to know that through Christ I can do anything. Through that power within, I can awaken any idea. And as the ideas come, I choose to allow them to be as they are and then to journey with them to see where they take me. More often than not, the ideas come and we kick it to the curb because we didn't like that one or we didn't know how to do it. And we have within us all of these spiritual faculties, and as we nurture and nourish them, what happens is everything that needs to be done, everything that we desire to do, the way is made possible. Nothing's impossible. God is infinite, everywhere present, all-knowing, all-powerful. I had a situation yesterday. My eldest daughter called me. And she'd been struggling with some health challenges and challenges with her kids and challenges with money and just, anybody ever been there? A little bit of everything going on. And I said to her, well, if you'd wanted, we could treat sometime, and, that didn't happen. But my granddaughter, who was visiting last fall, some of you will have met her, she said to her mom, Mom, maybe you could watch The Secret again. Just, plant a little seed, get her thinking in a new way. And she left watching that film thinking, I'm healthy, wealthy, and wise. I'm healthy, wealthy, and wise. And every time she had a negative thought, she'd say, I'm healthy, wealthy, and wise. And every time that negative came, she said, I think I said it 1,000 times a day. Constantly and continuously, interrupting the negative. And I went, that's a good idea. Anybody here tried it? So she phones me yesterday to say within a day or two of this happening, money started pouring in from all kinds of places, all over the place, all this extra money. She said it was wonderful. And she said, I just kept saying it and wondering when my health would turn around because she was going through testing for Parkinson's. And she said, I don't know. She said, all of a sudden, she said, the last 2 days, I have no pain. I'm no longer shaking. I can climb a flight of stairs. I can walk the dogs. I said, She goes, crazy, isn't it? And I went, well, the universe works for us by working through us. We need to change our mind. One of these strengths here within us is imagination. We use our imagination in really remarkable ways when you think about it. When you recognize that it is your mind creating your reality, and then we will do things like worry, be fearful, imagine the worst case scenarios. We will use our imagination to create the very thing we don't want. And we can use it to create the very thing we desire. Mind is powerful. In the book, Charles Fillmore said, the dynamic energy released through prayer and meditation is very great, and if not controlled and raised to the spiritual plane, may prove a source of body destruction. Everything begins as an idea. There is no thing in this plane of existence that didn't first have its seed as an idea. There is only mind, nothing else. And if there's only mind, and if we're thinking in and out of it, do you think there's a reason why positive thinking is a good idea? Is there a reason why feeling a sense of faith and possibility, even when the situation seems dire, might be smarter than the worry that we currently enjoy? We want to begin to shift our perspective, and we're the only ones who can do it because we're the ones thinking our thoughts. We want to start seeing ourselves as powerful and creative. My daughter was surprised by her power. Aren't we all? Yeah, because we have something going on, and we go into prayer with it, and all of a sudden it's resolved, and we go, whoa. That's just weird. Because we don't have faith. Intellectual faith is filled with doubt and maybes and somedays. You know how we do that? Oh yeah, this will happen. Well, someday, down the road, if it's God's will, right? We hum and we haw. That's our intellectual mind, our ego self going, well, maybe something good could come my way. But faith is knowing. I know without a shadow of a doubt that this is my reality. And there are moments in our lives when we have that, isn't there? I'm sure we've all experienced it at some point. I remember when it was time for me to move to Toronto. That's one of the moments when that happened for me. I was journaling one day, and out on the paper came it's time to move to Toronto and start a church. Gulp. And so I did, and I came here with $40 and a one-way plane ticket to Hamilton, and I knew somebody who lived in Oakville who drove me here from the airport. And I had 2 suitcases of summer clothes and my laptop. Lots of books. And I came here with the idea to start a church. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a home. I had an idea. But the idea was so strong, I had absolute faith that it would work. Enough so that I didn't tell my family how much money I was coming with, because they would have locked me in the basement. You ain't going there, you'll be living on the street, girl. We have those moments when we have absolute faith, and then we have other moments when we absolutely doubt. We have those moments when we put our faith in something outside of us. We put our faith in doctors. I'm not saying don't put your faith in doctors. There's a doctor in front of you and they got the cure for you. Hallelujah, take it. But there was a time when that wasn't possible, and I think it was Emma Curtis Hopkins who talked about visiting a woman in the country who had broken her leg. She was on the farm and she couldn't get to a hospital or a doctor, so she went and she prayed with her. How many of you would do that? You break your leg and you call me or Reverend Evan. Come pray with me, I'll be walking tomorrow. But there was no other choice. There was no way to get her to anywhere. She was many miles. This is the late 1800s. And so they prayed together, and the next morning the woman was back out in the field. And we look at that and we go, wow, what a miracle. No, that's the natural or picturing of the law when we have absolute faith, knowing that the power of God is the only power in life, and it is moving, and it is doing so according to our thinking. We want to remember the power that we are, remember the power that is within us, and with enthusiasm and excitement begin to live within that power. And it takes daily practice and daily remembering, because we forget. We wake up in the morning and maybe we have an ache or a pain, and instead of saying, oh, I'm healthy, wealthy, and wise, we go, oh my goodness, groan. But the truth is that health is our natural state of being, and it must be, or we couldn't return to it, right? Health is our natural state of being. Wealth means well-being. That's our natural state of being as well. So we want to begin to look at these spiritual faculties that we all have. You don't have to go get them. You can't buy them at Walmart or even on sale at Target right now. That's an experience. They're within you, and all you need to do is turn to it. And if you will turn to that Christ within you, the I am presence, you'll begin to see how powerful and creative you really are. When a situation arises in your life, rather than running to the drugstore or your friend or to whatever, to relax within yourself and go into prayer and meditation and allow yourself to be directed from there, knowing that your intuition will kick in and an idea will come. And if you're willing to follow it, it will probably take you somewhere pretty great. You see, we have a choice. We can do life easier. We can do it hard. A lot of us like to do it hard, right? I used to like to do it really, really hard. Now, one day I woke up and I thought, I wonder if I have a choice. I thought, maybe. Okay, I'm going to do it easy from now on. And you know what? It's gotten easier and easier and easier as the years have progressed. Because I go there first now, not as a last resort. You know how we pray as a last resort? You know, our ankles have been swept out from underneath us. We find ourselves on our knees and say, oh, well, I guess I'll pray. Here I am. Okay, God, help. And that really isn't a prayer. A prayer is about opening your mind to the divine inspiration. Prayer is about being receptive and available so Spirit through you can do its work. All we got to remember is that God is all-powerful. What is God? All-powerful. Yeah. But we think we're all-powerful, and so we could try to control God, right? And we got to change our idea of what God is, because that's the thing that's messing us up most. We've got this idea, some guy up there sitting in an easy chair passing judgment on us because none of us are good enough. We're all a bunch of sinners, right? Well, to sin means to miss the mark. Anybody here ever do that? Yes. I've done it regularly. What we want to remember is that God is principle, God is law, God is love, not a person. This infinite mind that we all live, move, and have our being within, that's God. We can't know it. We can't comprehend it from our finite perspective, but we can come to understand it. And we can allow ourselves to awaken to the possibility of living within it and using it by moving with the law rather than obstructing it. There was a quote in here that I quite like. Well, there was a whole bunch of them. As you can see, I marked them because they were just so good. This one particularly. Gravity is mortal man's name for love. By the invisible arms of love, we are held tight to earth's prolific bosom, and there we find the sweetest home in all the universe. I thought that was so cool. Gravity, our name for love, it holds us here. That's kind of cool. And it's always operating, isn't it? There's never a point, not while we're right here, that gravity stops, because if it did, off we go. Ralph Waldo Emerson, great hearts send forth steadily the secret forces that incessantly draw great events. And wherever the mind of man goes, nature will accompany him no matter what the path. Ralph Waldo Emerson, brilliant, brilliant man. Not really appreciated in his time. Took a while. What's he saying there? Your mind will take you wherever it takes you. Where is it taking you? You're the one thinking your thoughts in your mind. Where are you letting it take you? Are you like a 3-year-old in a candy store?
Yes.
That was a yes in case you missed it. We let our mind run amok. We let it go here and there, and we never try to control it or contain it or put it on some kind of track that might take us someplace useful. We've bought into the idea of multitasking, which is a fallacy. We've come up with all kinds of ways to say, oh, well, somebody else made me this way. And instead of taking responsibility and realizing my mind is the most powerful thing I have, and it is my thinking that's moving it, why am I not checking in with my thinking? What are you thinking about right now? Lunch will come. Your life is reflecting your beliefs, whether you like it or not. If life isn't working for you right now, don't blame anybody. Don't even blame yourself. Just wake up and go, oh man, I could do this different. In this moment, I could choose a new way. I could choose each day to wake up, set an intention, to take this life of mine and spiritualize it. And that doesn't mean that I can never have fun again. I think we got sort of confused when we were younger going to church and having to sit very quietly and not laugh or smile and dress a certain way and walk a certain way and talk a certain way, and as soon as we would leave, we would go do something completely different, because then we would go have fun. But church is a place where we should be alive. And at the beginning, we were singing about joy and happiness, and we laughed at each other. Awesome. Because that's what life is. When we're living in the place of possibility, everything is a joy, or could be. Everything can be taken lightly, knowing that this too will change. Change is the constant. That's the thing that we can't do much about. Change is going to happen. Can we go with it? Can we be comfortable with it? Can we relax into our life and allow ourselves to be with what's there and to know that something more is coming, that there's an awakening happening? Are we ready, willing, and able to begin to live the life we were given? See, all of us have very special little things that we do or that we have, or little talents or big talents. There's a little something, something in each one of us that we're here to deliver. And it's up to us to do it, but it's only up to us. No one can do it for us. No one can meet your needs, sorry, except you. And when we begin to change our mind and change our thinking, we begin to create the life that we imagined for ourselves. We begin to create a life that's filled with hope and possibility. We begin to realize that anything that comes up within me, every idea, I can do it. Even if I don't know how in this moment, the way will be shown if I take the time to listen to that still, small voice. The still small voice within, the one we like to ignore. It's quiet, it's soft, it's easy to ignore. The ego is loud and boisterous, a little bit like me. Jesus counted on his disciples, and the disciples actually represent these spiritual faculties. And he counted on them because he knew that's what was needed in order to live the life that he knew was possible. And we all have the ability to do that, every one of us. But it requires that we begin to do a couple of things differently. One, look at the idea of God differently than we have in the past. Begin to see it as a principle that is being each one of us. And then to believe in the possibility that I am one with this, so whatever it is that I dream about or think about, I have within me the ability to bring it about. And I do so because I have wisdom, I have love, I have power, I have strength. I can draw on all of those faculties to move me into that place of creation. Does that make sense? Why aren't you doing it? That's the big question, right? Why are we living a really small expression of who we are when there's something more for us to do? Has anyone here ever had an idea and then kind of kicked it aside for a bit, going, well, I don't really know how to do that, and then a couple years later somebody else brought it about? There's things that are happening, things that are being created, ideas that are going out into the world that are transforming things, and we are, we have our idea and sometimes we hold on to it, and then all of a sudden we look and go, oh, somebody else created it, somebody else did it, somebody else brought it about. Because it was time to be done, and we had the opportunity, but maybe there was doubt or fear or I can't, I'll try, I'll think about it, right? Maybe someday. We procrastinate. It's time to shift. Are you ready to make a change in your life? I didn't think so. Let me try that again. Are you ready to really live your life?
Yes.
Yes? Do you know what living means? Maybe not. Living to me means being present with what is in every moment. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you're going to live today, that means you're going to be present now. And when lunchtime rolls around, you'll be present with that. That we become present with the people that are in front of us. We're not texting while we're having lunch with them. We want to be present. We want to find a way to shift our lives so that we can be in greater harmony with the Christ consciousness. And that happens by living in the now moment. That happens by being present. And so when we take a look at the faculties that are within us, we want to begin to really work with these ideas so that we can bring about that which is within us to be given to this world at this time. And it's a journey. It's a journey of remembering and awakening. He talks in here, he says, when we awaken to the reality of our being, the light begins to break upon us and we know the truth. We can see the difference between good and evil, and we use wisdom to live in harmony with the law. When we start to see who we really are, when we change our concept of God and we begin to live from that place of oneness, that place of love and possibility, we begin to move into the world in a new way. We give up judgment of ourselves and others. We stop criticizing everything that goes on. We begin to live more in harmony with all that is around us and all that we are. And what happens is we create a place of peace and love and possibility. And yet we look at the world today, and I'm sure I could ask many of you, do you think we could have peace on earth by tomorrow morning? And most of you might say yes here, but if we were talking on the subway, you might go, yeah, I don't think so. There's too much of this or that or the other thing. You know what? We're all made in the image and of the likeness. All of us. And all of us have within us these powers, these attributes, and all of us have the ability to live from that place. It doesn't matter what our religion is. Religion's got nothing to do with it. This is about knowing that there is this one mind, and within it we live, move, and have our being. And if all of us were to sit in that place and decide in this moment that we are going to live in harmony, even for a moment, we would have what? We'd have harmony in that moment, wouldn't we? If we all decided to live from our greatest potential, whatever that is, rather than deciding that we had to work to earn a living or work hard to earn a living or whatever it is that the game we've been playing, but rather we sat back and went, God in me and through me knows what I have need of, and I move in that direction and I listen and I pay attention and I do what I'm guided to do. Do you think we could create a harmonious world? Yes. Did you know there's enough food to go around? There's a distribution problem, not a food shortage. We want to begin to look at life from a new perspective, begin to see who we really are, and from that place of seeing, begin to listen to the wisdom that is within us, that's moving up and through us, and begin to practice from that place. And as we begin to practice from that place and live from that place, we begin to create something brand new in the world. When I was reading this book, it was interesting because this book was written a while ago. And he was talking about people like when they would get it, when they awakened to the reality of their being, they'd be flocking to metaphysical churches, be knocking down the doors to get here. I agree with him. And yet somehow our doors have yet to be knocked down. It's time for us to stand in what we know, to have faith in a bright future. It's time for us to speak the truth day and night. Not to preach somebody, you got to believe what I believe. It isn't about that. It's about showing up as who we are with a sense of possibility and opportunity and loving ourselves enough to be seen. And as we do that, people are going to be scratching their head and looking at us going, what'd you have for breakfast? What's in that flask? What's going on with you anyway? Why are you laughing and smiling? There's something going on. There would be something that people would be looking at us going, I don't know what you're doing or how you're doing, but I want some of that. Whatever that is, I want a little bit of it. And our doors would be knocked down. We'd be looking for bigger premises or different places where we could meet, where everyone could gather. It's time to stop hiding and to stand naked to the world and say, hey, I'm a metaphysician, I'm a new thought believer, I believe in the possibility of mind over matter, I believe that my thoughts create my life. Stand loud and proud with that. And sometimes people will look at you and go, weirdo, and walk away. That's okay. Most won't, because most people are going to look at who you are and what you're doing and where you're at and go, I don't know what it is that you're doing, but I want a little bit of it. Why are you happy all the time? Why is your life, how come you're so special? I'm just as special as you. When we begin to give this message, when we begin to accept people for who they are, where they are, as they are, we begin to awaken to something bigger. I don't need you to show up in a certain way so I'll like you. I choose to like you. And you can have a good day and a bad day, if you want to call it that, and I still choose to like you. I have good days and bad days. I have ups and downs. Do y'all have ups and downs? Yeah. There's life going on all the time, and sometimes we're able to really, get into our spiritual beauty and grace and goodness and love, and we show up just rock solid. And maybe we haven't slept so well, and we're a little weak on that front. But there's somebody beside us who has the enthusiasm, the zeal, the imagination, the strength and the power to go, I love you, and in that moment lift you with them. You see, because we're all part of one thing, when I think loving thoughts, what I do is I raise everyone with me. Not the people in the room, everyone. Every time a person begins to live from that Christ consciousness and begins to show up in a new way, they touch, it's like dropping a coin or a pebble into a pond and the ripples move out. The ripples go on forever. And so it is with each one of us. As we raise our consciousness, as we spiritualize our lives, we begin to do that for everybody. Everybody's life is changed when one person's life is changed. And it's changed when we decide it's changed, when we sit down and go, maybe Fillmore had a good idea here. Maybe he knew something that I should know. Let me see. Knowledge comes, but wisdom lingers. Poets are natural mystics and metaphysicians, and in their writings we find the safest definitions of the names used to represent the actions of the mind. Poets nearly always make the proper distinction between wisdom and understanding. Tennyson says, knowledge comes, but wisdom lingers. Spiritual discernment always places wisdom above the other faculties of mind and reveals that knowledge and intelligence are auxiliary to understanding. Intellectual understanding comes first in the soul's development. Then a deeper understanding of principles follows, and the whole person ripens into wisdom. It's a journey to that place, but we must open our minds. We must wake up every day and decide my mind is mine to till. The soil that is my mind is the thing that I'm planting my ideas into. And as I plant those ideas, I can only get what I plant. Does that make sense? If you planted tulips last fall, in another few days, I'm being optimistic. In another few days, you are not going to get irises, lovely as they are. You can only get tulips. And the squirrels will be thrilled as the blossoms pop and they take them before you get to see them. What you plant in your mind is what you must experience. There is no way around that. The law is exact. What I put into the soil must grow out from the soil. Does that make sense? When you have negative thinking, worry, fear, doubt, you create from that an exact match. You must. It's the law. You cannot plant tomatoes and get zucchini. You cannot plant hatred and negativity and frustration and annoyance and get joy and peace and love. And it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. What is it that you're planting in the soil of your mind? Are you critical and judgmental? Is everything around you wrong and bad? You're the good thing. Do you perceive problems everywhere you look? I used to. Now I've narrowed it down a little. Trying to see it only in a few places. And we see it most especially with those closest to us, right? Our children, our spouses, our employers or employees, people who are really close to us who can annoy us, right? Because they're there often. And they can do things or say things, and it's not what we would say or do, so it must be wrong and bad, correct? So we want to begin to shift that, to begin to realize that when I have a negative thought, it's impacting me, but it's also impacting the people around me. That when I am critical or judgmental, it impacts me and impacts the people around me. That if I think harmful thoughts about someone, those harmful thoughts that I'm thinking are actually harming that person, but they're harming me even more. And so we want to erase all of that, and it's simply a choice. It's simply a choice. I have the choice to think my thoughts. Does that make sense? Regardless of what's going on, I can begin to look at the world and say, God is good all the time. I could believe that, or not. And God is not going to sit back and say, oh, excuse me, Barbara, smarten up, eh? Get with the program. I have free will. I can think whatever I want to think. I can plant into the soil of my mind anything that I want, and it will bear fruit. This is important. This is really important to remember. Because I am planting seeds in my mind, and they are growing. And they're creating something in the manifest world that I might love or not so much. But here's the good news. I'm the one thinking the thoughts. And I have the ability to change them. And you have the ability to change your thoughts, change your thinking at any moment in time. We can look at communication, the way we speak to each other. The words that we speak have power. The words that we think equally have power. So what is it that we're thinking about and talking about? How is it that we're showing up? And can we begin to come from a place of greater possibility and opportunity? And even as we look at each other and we see somebody who's not feeling well and we have sympathy for them and we go, oh, I'm so sorry, and poor you, oh, this is so awful. We all do it. We've all done it. What if instead we went, wow, I see you as divine health. And I know that can be revealed in you. Not denying the person's personal experience at the moment, but knowing a greater idea as they move forward. Just like my daughter when she was talking about, I'm healthy, wealthy, and wise, no matter what the circumstances were showing, because they were showing something quite different. She decided not to look at that anymore. Wherever we focus our attention, that's what expands and grows. Where do you focus your attention? Evan talks often about a single-mindedness. We need to be single-minded. We need to focus our attention on that divine essence within us, that infinite creative possibility, that one infinite, beautiful, loving Christ consciousness. And if we focus our attention there, the ways of anything will be made possible. Whatever it is that we desire will begin to grow out of that because we have an open mind, a receptive mind, a mind that says, there must be a way. Because God is all-knowing and all-powerful. And although in my finite moment I may not have the answers, they're there. Does that make sense? Yes. So it begins. One day at a time, one moment at a time, one now moment, this now moment. In the now moment, I have the power to think whatever I choose to think. So what am I thinking? Can you read minds? I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. Down in my heart. Where's yours? We have a choice to do that, don't we? We can be, all grumpy and complain. Or we can remind ourselves, no, I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. That's such a great little song. Or this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. We can do that. We can let it shine. We can choose to sing in public, dance in public. We can choose to be joyful at the doctor's office, at the lawyer's, in the courthouse. We can choose to bring our light wherever we go, or we can dumb it down and pretend to be miserable like everybody else. But why do that? It's time for more laughter, more joy, more celebration. It's time to begin to look at ourselves and others from that place of the Christ. We're all it. Every one of us. Every one of us is the divine made manifest here and now. And so let's live that life. Because the other one, it's been nice, but it's limited. We're buying into all manner of limitations, difficulties, challenges. We're suffering like crazy because of our attachment to something that doesn't even work. Our attachment to an idea that never did work, but we're attached. I remember years ago somebody inviting me to do something and me going, well, that was rude that they would ask me to do that. They know I'm broke. Man, I was fighting for that idea. I got to hold on to it good and hard until I didn't. You are the thinker of your thoughts. You are the one creating your life. You are the power in your life. You are infinite, eternal, creative. You have imagination that you can use to create absolutely anything and the power to bring it about. How cool is that? So begin working on faith. If you don't believe that, begin to work on your faith. Practice day by day, moment by moment. Practice with little things, big things. Begin to see your life changing in the moments that you choose to show up in a new way. Begin to tell yourself, my life is easy and joyful and wonderful, rather than, oh, it's so hard and so difficult. If you have a miserable work environment, just celebrate it. Every day you go in, go, oh, yes, I'm going to get paid to do this again. Hallelujah. I mean, maybe it's only the paycheck that makes it great, but celebrate that. You will move into something bigger, something greater, something more wonderful. Celebrate the love that you have. Celebrate the people who are around you. Begin to see every person as the Christ showing up in your life. Begin to live with zeal and enthusiasm. Use your imagination to create positive, beautiful, fun, interesting, exciting, sexy, dynamic, great things. Evan didn't hear that, right? Begin to live your life your way. Show up. If you haven't read Fillmore lately, do it. Oh, yummy stuff. I'm not quite finished this book, almost. I'm going to borrow it for a few more days. Come to classes. If you're not figuring it out in your life, come to classes. Evan will straighten you out. He uses the power well, just to help us to see the truth when we're telling a story. Because we have stories that we really believe in, and he will help us to interrupt them. Or other people in your life will show you how to interrupt them. Interrupt them. Take that negative thinking, toss it. It isn't well, it's working for you, but not necessarily the way you'd like. Begin today to live this spiritualized life. See that the I am presence is life. And from there create something truly remarkable. You are magnificent and deserve to inherit the kingdom that has already been given to you. Take it. God bless.
I'm walking in authority, living life without apology. It's not wrong, dear, I belong here, so you might as well get used to me.
I'm a vermin, I be the queen, but my father's king of everything. I'm adopted into the family.
given me dominion, yes. Power over man, them, yes. Everything I do is blessed. Promise me some great success. I am the authority. God of the world, I don't know who's living in my liberty. Say might as well get used to me. I'm walking in authority. I'm living life without apology. 'Cause it's not wrong, I belong. So you might as well get used to me. We're children of the Most High God. Sing it now. Understanding and believe His words. We never have to beg or plead, for our Father will supply our needs. And He's given me dominion, yes. Power over random, yes. Everything I do is blessed. He promised me some great success. I am the authority. God of the majority. Women in my liberty. Might as well get used to me. I'm walking in authority. I'm living life without apology. And it's not wrong, I belong. So you might as well get something in your hand. 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 I wave it to the air. 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 And I said 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You might as well get used to me. I'm walking in authority. I'm living life without apology. 'Cause it's not wrong, I belong. So you might as well get something in your hand. 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 And wave it to the air. 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 And I said 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You might as well get used to me. I'm walking in authority. I'm living life without apology. It's not wrong, I belong. So you might as well get used to walking in